$600 a month, cut from your Social Security check for the rest of your retirement, unless you catch it in the narrow do-over window. That is what happens when you file at 62 instead of your full retirement age, assuming a full retirement benefit of $2,000 at age 67. Delay your filing to age 70, and that gap grows past $1,000 a month, on the exact same earnings record. Same person, same lifetime of work, completely different retirement income. Here is the part that catches most people off guard. When you are gone, your surviving spouse's check can be anchored to that smaller early filing amount. And in some households, that means hundreds of dollars less every month for the spouse who is left behind. Not because of anything they did wrong, because of a choice made at 62 that neither of you fully understood at the time. I am your guide to real-world retirement decisions. Plain numbers, no sales pitch. In the next 15 minutes, we are going to walk through 6 pieces of this decision together. Here is the first mistake most people make. Social Security is built around something called your full retirement age, your FRA. For most people watching this born in 1960 or after, that age is 67. For birth years between 1943 and 1954, it is 66. For years in between, it phases up 2 months at a time. People see that Social Security becomes available at 62 and assume that is the age to file. It is not. That is the earliest you can file. Filing early comes with a permanent reduction, not a temporary one that phases back in at 67. Permanent. For someone with an FRA of 67, filing at 62, 5 full years early, reduces the monthly benefit by 30%. That number comes straight from the SSA's own publications. There is a narrow exit. If you file and change your mind within 12 months, you can withdraw the application and repay what you received, and your record resets. After that window closes, the reduction is locked in. You can also voluntarily suspend benefits after reaching full retirement age to earn additional credits. After that window closes, the reduction is locked in. You can also voluntarily suspend benefits after reaching full retirement age to earn additional credits. But the early filing cut to your base benefit stays. Full benefit at 67, $2,000 a month. File at 62. Social Security sends $1,400. That $600 gap does not phase back in at 67. It is gone, every month, before future cost of living increases, for the rest of your life. Your exact reduction depends on your birth year and the specific month you file, so use the SSA's retirement estimator at ssa.gov for your precise number. If you delay past your full retirement age, Social Security credits your benefit by 8% for every full year you wait. The Delayed Retirement Credit, written directly into the law. From full retirement age at 67 to age 70 is 3 years, 24% added on top of your full benefit. File at 62, $1,400 a month. Wait to 70, around $2,480 a month on the exact same earnings record. That is $1,080 more every month for as long as you live. Between age 70 and age 85, a reasonable planning range for someone in decent health today, that monthly difference adds up to roughly $194,000 in extra income. And that understates the real picture. A larger base benefit generates a larger COLA raise every year, so the gap keeps widening. The objection goes like this. Sure, the monthly check is bigger if I wait, but I miss years of income getting there. What if I do not make it to break even? Fair question. Using the $1,400 versus $2,480 numbers with no discount rate applied, the break-even age between claiming at 62 and waiting to 70 falls around age 80 to 81, because you give up 8 years of $1,400 checks, and it takes roughly that long for the larger check to make up the gap. because you give up 8 years of $1,400 checks, and it takes roughly that long for the larger check to make up the gap. Before that point, the early filer has collected more total dollars. After 80 or 81, the person who waited pulls ahead and keeps pulling further ahead. But that calculation treats Social Security like a piggy bank. Your job is to pull out as much as possible. That is the wrong frame. Social Security is not an investment. It is longevity insurance. The right question is not, what do I collect on average? It is, what happens to me if I live a lot longer than average? Half of all people outlive their own statistical life expectancy. For a married couple both aged 65, there is a real chance at least one of them is still drawing checks well into their 90s. If you live to 75, filing early wins. If you live to 90, waiting to 70 wins by a wide margin. And at 90, healthcare costs climbing. No paycheck. The last thing you want is the smallest possible monthly check. Waiting is not gambling that you will live forever. It is buying protection against the years where money gets hardest. Most people never run this number before they file. It does not land on you. It lands on the person left behind, years later, when nothing can be changed. When a spouse passes away, the surviving partner collects a survivor benefit. Social Security pays the survivor the higher of their own retirement benefit or an amount based on the deceased spouse's record. The exact calculation depends on when both spouses claimed and SSA's special survivor rules. But here is the part that stings. If the higher-earning spouse filed early at 62, the survivor benefit is based on that already reduced amount, not the full retirement benefit. The early filing penalty follows the spouse who is left. There is one floor worth knowing. The survivor benefit will not drop below 82.5% of the higher earner full retirement amount, so it never collapses to nothing. But early filing still drags that check down toward the floor instead of the full benefit. And this is not a rare edge case. Roughly 37% of widows collecting Social Security today are receiving a reduced survivor check because the higher earner had filed early. An example: the husband is the higher earner. His full benefit at 67 would have been $2,500 a month. He filed at 62, so Social Security applied the early filing reduction. Let us say his monthly check came out to roughly $1,750. SSA survivor rules are more involved than a simple copy of that number, but the core principle holds. His early filing pulled down the baseline the survivor calculation starts from. He passes away at 79. His wife, 3 years younger, now collects a survivor benefit based on a reduced starting point, not the $2,500 he would have received by waiting. She lives to 91. That is 12 years of monthly income set by a choice he made at 62, 17 years before she needed it most. Use the SSA's survivor benefit estimator or sit down with a fiduciary to run the exact figures for your household. Run the other version. He waits to 70. His benefit has grown to around $3,100 a month. If his wife claims her survivor benefit at her full retirement age or later, SSA uses that larger number as the basis. The same 12 years of checks look completely different. When the higher earner in a household decides when to file, that is not a personal financial decision. It is a household decision. Women, on average, live several years longer than men in the United States, and for many widows, the survivor check is the single largest income source in the last decade of their life. That choice deserves to be made with both people at the table. That all sounds fine, but I need the income. I retired at 62. I cannot wait 8 years. That is the most common reason people file early. And for some, poor health, no savings, no options. Filing early is genuinely the right call. But before you decide the math does not apply to you, here is the bridge strategy. Instead of turning on Social Security at 62, you draw from your own savings, IRA, 401k, brokerage account, and let the Social Security benefit keep growing. You are paying yourself from your own pile of money for a few years, while your benefit earns an 8% per year increase between full retirement age and 70, backed by the Social Security formula. For most households, it is hard to find another move that increases a guaranteed, inflation-adjusted lifetime income stream this predictably, under current law. Yes, your savings balance drops faster in the early years. That is the real trade-off. But you're converting a finite asset into a monthly check that, under current law, lasts your entire life, adjusts for inflation, and cannot be outlived. If you have meaningful savings, a 401k, an IRA, a pension, the bridge strategy is worth running the numbers on before you file. Home equity is a separate question. Accessing it involves a sale, a HELOC, or a reverse mortgage, each with its own costs and considerations. Every time I talk about this, someone asks, "What if Social Security is not there when I need it?" Here is the straight answer. According to the Social Security Trustees Report released in 2026, under current law, the OASI Trust Fund, the one that covers retirement and survivor benefits, is projected to exhaust its reserves in late 2032. That is the part that ends up in the headlines. Here is the part that usually does not end up in the headlines. Even after that point, incoming payroll taxes from current workers are projected to cover about 78% of scheduled benefits, not zero. That percentage may change over time depending on worker-to-retiree ratios and future law, but the program does not simply disappear. Does that change the delay math? No. If benefits get cut 20% across the board, the person who waited to 70 still receives a larger absolute monthly check than the person who filed at 62. The advantage of waiting holds even under the reduced projection. Social Security has been adjusted by Congress before and almost certainly will be again. It is a major income source for most retired Americans, and for many, the largest single one. Any future change would be a legislative decision, not an overnight disappearance of the program. Filing at 62 because Social Security might go away is the most expensive reason to make that choice, and history says that fear has not paid off yet. Step 1. Pull your numbers on SSA.gov. The SSA's retirement estimator is free. Look at your projected benefit at 62 and at 70. That gap, on paper, in dollars, is the starting point for everything else. Step 2. Be honest about your health and family history. If you have serious conditions or a history of shorter lives on both sides, the break-even age matters more. That is not morbid. It is practical. Step 3. If you are married, do this as a household. Run both claiming ages for the higher earner and look at the survivor benefit in each scenario. The lower earner's best move often depends on what the higher earner decides. Step 4. Look hard at your bridge options. Do you have enough in savings to cover expenses from now until 70 without turning on Social Security early? If yes, the bridge deserves a serious look. If no, that tells you something important about the overall plan, too. Step 5. Sit with a fiduciary. Not someone who earns a commission on what they sell you. A fee-only financial advisor, legally required to put your interests first. This decision is one of the most consequential and difficult to undo in all of retirement planning. Here is the one thing I want you to carry out of this video. The filing question is not just, when can I get a check? It is, whose check am I locking in for the rest of this household's life? That reframe changes everything. Filing at 62 is not wrong for everyone. Poor health, no bridge options, no savings cushion. Those are real situations where early filing may be the right call. But for most people in decent health with a realistic shot at their mid-80s or beyond, the math keeps pointing the same direction. Waiting is not gambling. It is buying protection. After this video, do two things. Open your My Social Security account at ssa.gov and pull your actual benefit numbers at every claiming age. Write down the gap between your 62 number and your 70 number. That is what this decision actually costs. And if you are married, run the survivor side together. That one conversation could be worth more than any investment decision you make this year. This video is education, not financial advice, and not legal advice either. The numbers here are illustrative. Your actual benefit depends on your earnings record, birth year, and household circumstances. Walk through your specific situation with a fee-only, fiduciary advisor before you file. If this opened your eyes to something your advisor has not talked through with you yet, type the word survivor in the comments. That tells me this is landing with the right people. And it helps the channel reach more Americans in their 50s and 60s working through the same decisions. Hit the like button before you go. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps more people your age find this content. If you are not subscribed yet, this channel covers Social Security, taxes, withdrawal order, and survivor benefits. One topic at a time. Real numbers, no sales pitch. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Retirement is not about working until you cannot move. It is about knowing the numbers that protect this household for the long haul and making that call with your eyes open. I will see you in the next one.